What's up, everybody? Welcome to the emergency pod.
Play that air horn. Emma,
that air horn emergency. This emergency podcast is brought to you by Indeed. Listeners of the show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/all-city. That's Indeed.com/all-city. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Aaron Gordon is staying with the Denver Nuggets. There's those air horns.
Let's go.
Aaron Gordon has just agreed to opt into his contract and then sign what is the maximum amount he could sign an extension for. A little confusing under his current deal, max extension, but it's actually in some ways, but it is in some ways a discount for the Denver Nuggets. But the big story here, fellas, Aaron Gordon's not leaving.
Let's go! Where's that horn? Let's go.
Where is it? We haven't played it enough. Man, I mean, look, we knew this was good.
Got a little latency, DJ latency on the ones and twos.
I like it, man. We're just counting up. But it deserves it, man. It deserves its own air horn for this because it's been a weird, off season, a little tumultuous. You lose KCP. Is Calvin Booth going to do the same thing to Aaron Gordon? Not the case. He is locked up for the next several years. Vote. We see you're at your home office here. What was your thought when you saw it come across?
Dude, I've never heard the word office used so
let me let
liberally.
Let me let everyone in behind the scenes here on this show that's live 5 times a week. We had an emergency pod at 7 p.m. Adam's mad it took too long to get it started while simultaneously wondering why I didn't drive to the studio, which is further away. So in case anyone wants to know what it's like to work for Adam, there's a little look behind the scenes.
There's a little.
Otherwise, though, I'm in a great mood and really excited about Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What about you, Eric? What did you think when it first came through?
Listen, man, we are, as you mentioned, in an odd place. The season has not started yet. There are still a great many questions. We had a very up and down preseason as preseasons go. Does it matter? Doesn't matter. But the vibes are, I wouldn't say that they were bad, but they weren't good. And signing Aaron Gordon, what a beautiful day. What an absolutely beautiful day. Making sure we lock down Mr. Nugget, making sure that the core is going to stay together for at least another season or two, keeping the window open with players that are good enough to play alongside Nikola Jokic while he's still in his prime. I love it, man. The Cronkies open up the purse strings and they make sure that they keep important pieces around. This is another example. I say kudos to you, Cronkies.
Hashtag Cronky man over here.
Hell yeah,
Cronky
dude.
man. The details here really quickly. So here's how it works as I understand it. Aaron, the Nuggets, when you have a great team and you're paying a lot of guys, you don't have the most flexibility here. And because they got Aaron Gordon on a very good price, remember when people thought the price was an overpay the first time he signed his first deal with Denver? And then all of a sudden, here we are. It's like, that's the greatest deal ever. So he opts into that, and then you get to give him an extension that basically scales up from that one. If he were to opt out of this deal, basically today, if they didn't get a deal done, he opts out, the price to retain him going forward would have been higher. It would have been actually more money. So it's a lot of years. You're kind of betting on Aaron Gordon, who relies heavily on his strength and athleticism and all those different things, to age gracefully. And if not to age gracefully, to really lean on some of his other skills, namely, I would say basketball IQ, defense, and those types of things. But you're counting on that. But the truth is, you get a deal this year, next year, that's going to allow you the flexibility to keep your core 4 guys together. And I think when you look at this, it's this year and next year that Denver, if they want to, should be able to keep Michael Porter, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, and Aaron Gordon as the core of this. And I think that's really the top story here is whatever happens, you can never look too far around the corner, but those 4 guys I expect to play out this season and likely, unless there's a disaster, play out next season too.
Yeah, look, I wish they had kept KCP. I really do, to be honest. But the truth is, Denver's managed to keep their core 4 together, and that's been the idea and been the hope since they started this journey. They bet around that core, and Booth's doing his best to try to avoid musical chairs around them. But there is a bottom line to how that's going to work, and it's really about these 4 guys. And the concept of overpays is funny because almost every contract is an overpay in a vacuum, it seems, online. But they haven't actually prevented Denver from, first of all, getting over the hump and winning a title, but also first Aaron Gordon was overpaid, then Porter was overpaid, then Murray was overpaid, and now But you know what? They kept all of them. And so they have this core in place. Do they have a ton of flexibility around it? A lot of room to audible? No. Do they have as complete a roster and as bright a picture as the Boston Celtics? No. But they managed to keep their core four together. And as long as they stay healthy, which is a big if, they're going to be in the conversations we want them to be in, and they have control over them. So this is big. And again, the KCP thing, I think hurts at least in my opinion, but there's a bottom line to what Denver's been able to do, which was go and win that title and keep these guys together for the foreseeable future. This is a big win for Nuggets Nation. Before we even touch on just the part that no one wants Aaron Gordon to go anywhere, spiritually as a fan, the Mr. Nugget thing. It's also just the basketball part. This is really, really important.
I think that part of this, Eric, is huge. I mean, he is the greatest Mr. Nugget in the history of Mr. Nuggets. I mean, honestly, hands down. And if you, not even just losing him, because there was always the world where he, opts out of the deal of his next year and just plays this year. And then you're worried about, oh my God, this is the last year of Mr. Nugget. Is there even a candidate on the roster past that? You start to worry about that. But to me, it really is look, the Nuggets had a disappointing playoffs, a tumultuous offseason that makes everybody uncomfortable. But it does feel like the vibes. I mean, starting with last Thursday's game, Jamal Murray looking awesome in the final preseason game. Now it does feel like there's a vibes uptick going on with the Denver Nuggets. And this is a huge one.
This is enormous. Here's the thing, those four guys are 80% enough to get you a title. They'll get you 80% of the way there.
Maybe
and
more.
It's can you then find that last 20% between the fifth starter and all of the guys on the bench? I share the disappointment that KCP left, but I don't see it to be as debilitating as other people would make you believe or have you believe. I just think that while he's an incredible player, he's not the most incredible player that cannot be replaced. Of the starting four, KCP, that position has proven itself to be the most replaceable. He's the spinal tap drummer. So listen, man, we just put Christian Brown in. Maybe Christian Brown doesn't do it, so we put Julian Strawther in. Those four guys can get it done. If you can get, if somebody can knock down some shots, they're lethal again, and then your bench just not lose you anything. It's just, but I think that the stronger and the most important point that we've learned about this a long time ago. Sure, basketball acumen is important. The ability to play the game also important. The vibes are the most important thing about basketball. No one will admit it. We know it to be true, and this is an absolute vibes retention move. If you can't retain vibes, what are you doing?
You know what Denver did avoid this offseason was the lingering and looming non-extensions of Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. So vibes not just for the fan base, which we care about because we're part of it, but the team. I mean, how weird could things have gotten around midseason if maybe they were 5 to 10% below where we wanted them to be, and neither of those guys were locked up, and it gets tense in the media sessions, and it gets
people start asking.
This is the stuff that I think these are two different regimes, important to remember. But going back to Tim Connolly, Denver's done its best to avoid. You just go, okay, can this four get us there? Yeah. Yes. So if it's a risk to bet on them, that's the risk we're taking. And look, I can't wait for them to start playing basketball again, because regardless of there are a reasonable amount of doubts out there. There's a fair share of doubts to be expressed, but there's a bottom line to what this group can do. And the truth is the disparity between the way they're talked about right now and what they actually look like when they get on the floor, it's pretty big. And I'm excited for them to just start slowly reminding us that it's maybe not perfect, fellas, but it's not a disaster yet. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Yeah.
Dude, the thing, it's this is gambling, but this is splitting aces or doubling down with an 11. I like it. It's not guaranteed, but you put yourself in a very advantageous position. You're in the driver's seat. If you can make it happen with this in your hand, these four players, and then just kind of allow yourself a little bit of wiggle room to sort of figure out how to fill in the margins. Like that's how you build dynasties if you're smart about it. Like you don't let, like everyone's mad that Bruce Brown and KCP left, but it's like those aren't core generational players. Those are like dope glue guys that you can replace glue guys. I don't mean to diminish either one of them in any way, just from taking a step back and looking at the dynasty team building aspect of this. Like if you were doing it yourself, you're like, okay, there has to be give and take each season. Like who do we have to have? And the front office, I mean, these guys aren't dumb, man. Like they know who they have. They know what they have. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
I think the thing for me with Aaron Gordon is that he has gotten smarter every year in Denver. And I think that was a deliberate, like when you talk about where did he improve? He improved as a smart player. And I'll compare him to one guy, Andre Iguodala, who was a fringe star. Like he had the star, right? You hate that one because Nuggets fans hate Andre Iguodala. This is the Iguodala redemption, though. This is the guy who stayed, right? This is the guy who stayed. The Iguodala that stepped up. So this is sorry, that was terrible. So this is like Iguodala was a guy who was early in his career cast as a star, but wasn't quite good enough to be a star. He didn't have star traits. But what he was a great role player. Then he found a couple teams, first the Nuggets and then the Warriors, where that was appreciated. Like, okay, come and be that. And every year just became great until he aged really well. For a guy that originally was like a 40-inch vert guy, his athleticism is everything. He just became, that's the smartest guy on the court. He's a mentor to the young, championship core that was there. And then later on segued to like a bench guy who even became even smarter. He kind of became Yoda to that Warriors team. And I look at Aaron Gordon and I go, that's not a trajectory we all would have predicted 5 years ago of Aaron Gordon. But he got here, he focused on it, and he keeps getting better and better. And I look at that and I go, that's how, if this is a success, he follows in those same footsteps where he segues in the second half of his career. The athleticism is there, but maybe starts to fade. But he just becomes an extremely smart, versatile, do everything type of player. And Yoke loves him. I mean, those things to me are very promising that this will be a great contract for the life of it.
Yeah, do you think it's possible that other professions can benefit from the path that Aaron Gordon has taken? Could Vogt get smarter this season? Is that possible?
It's a tough question. What do you think, Vogt?
Is it like, can you at least like say it out loud that you want it to happen?
All three of them have some crazy guns to them these days, though. I don't know if you've seen Vogt lately.
I was the media work I was going to do was say that we need to spread the ball more around in the offense, but that's fine. I can.
Just say it. We can do more than one thing. We can do more than one thing. That's all.
Not all of us can, unfortunately.
But what do you think of that? Just how extending, his career now, because that is if you have one concern about this, it's that the guy jumps 45 inches in the air. I don't know how longer he's going to be able to do that. He's going to have to thrive without that. Like, how do you see that, Vogt?
Well, this is a very lofty comparison, but can you age like Draymond? He wasn't the athlete that Gordon was, and Gordon's not quite the high IQ guy or defender that Draymond is, but can he sort of attempt to mold himself into that kind of player alongside his Steph, which would be Jokic? And so he's not just, so to go with the Draymond example, maybe can't quite switch 1 through 5 anymore, can't hit the 3, but he's just still so valuable knowing how to play alongside this all-time guy. And I think there's something, I'm just wondering, does Gordon see it that way? My career will age more gracefully here. This is the best basketball I've ever played, and I don't really want to change that situation. So it's also a fair amount of money, but
I know.
That's the funniest thing about this. And we're like,
I know, right?
The sacrifice he made, it's $144 million.
I can't wait till I can pull.
Get hurt at any point,
I need to be able to pull off this type of gaslighting too. Like somebody that makes an unbelievable sum of money is somehow doing us a favor. Anyway, but what was I about to say? No,
something great.
Oh man, it was going to be so brilliant.
Hold on. Oh, I was just going to say yes. If we want Aaron Gordon to model his late playing career after anyone, it's definitely Draymond Green. punching Hunter Tyson, choking out Carl Anthony Towns, just repeatedly committing not even fouls but crimes. Yeah, I agree. That's absolutely the trajectory I hope he's taking.
That's funny. And honestly, this is no small thing, man. I think Yoke really genuinely likes Aaron Gordon, the person, the player, the personality, the vibes, all of that stuff. Yoke knows where Aaron Gordon is on the court at all times. He knows what he's doing. Aaron Gordon covers for Jokic a lot defensively and does all these things. And I think that, we talk about, Yoke's lost some players. He's so great. He's carried the team through some dark times. And I think he was willing to do that, but you don't ever want to, take that for granted. And I think this is one of those ones where he's like, you know what? Love this dude, love playing with him. And I'm locked in for the entirety of my current contract and beyond. I'm locked into playing with this guy. And I think that's a big deal.
Well, they already got rid of JaMychal Green. How many of his favorite teammates can they take?
I know.
There's something to that, though.
Do we know how he felt about Kostas Papanikolaou? Did that come up or no?
That was tough too. He didn't like to see that one go. The other piece of this is, you see these on social media every now and then. That's like, if you're 40, which I am, you're the same age as Uncle Phil in the first season of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And it's like 30 years ago. 30 years ago, 30 years old was like, oh man, he's got like 1 or 2 years left. But nowadays, 35 guys are still extending their primes that long. And there's a chance that we look at this and laugh in 3 years when Aaron Gordon is still getting 200 dunks and catching half court lobs or full court lobs from out of bounds from Jokic. And we're like, we were worried this guy was going to age. 35 is the new 30.
Oh, for sure. He's going to have AI legs. They'll be taken up. They'll be made up of human stem cells and artificial intelligence. And he'll never slow down. I can't wait for it. I love him.
No.
I think there's something to that. I mean, look, even Westbrook, who is an anomaly, it's insane how fast he still is at 35. It's insane. Dude. I mean, he's not quite the athlete he once was, understandably, but God, is he still an athlete. So there's something to this for sure.
Druids, by the way, wonderful take. D-line was on your bionic legs. So
dude. Tell me that's not a good take. How is that bad take? We have self-driving cars. We can't have self-jumping legs.
You never know what the chat's going to really vibe with. But
listen, man, I know. I see what other people see. You guys are timid. You don't want to be caught up in a lot of this, but I'm not scared.
Eric, get ready for AI Wemby, who never retires. Just 100 years.
He just gets further and further from the hoop every time.
I love this one. And, the other piece of this is, and I said this last week, I think that this was weighing on Aaron Gordon a little bit. I mean, he played through it. He participated in all practices. He did all that stuff. But, he gave a lot to this organization. And, he's done a lot. And I think there's always, I have to imagine for a player, there's an uncomfortable moment where you're like, I've done a lot for this team. I've sacrificed. When he got here, 9 out of 10 NBA players would be like, yeah, but I'm just not getting that fadeaway I like to take. I like to take those 3 times. He didn't care. He got rid of all that stuff. And I think there's something to the organization kind of rewarding him and saying, hey, you did all those things and we're not going to discount. We're not going to look at points per game and say, oh, it's falling. Like, no, you do exactly what we need. And I just love it. The AG story. I love the AG story. It's one of those things you love about sports.
Did we need to officially look at his resume?
I think we should look at the resume presented by Indeed. What do we have on the resume, Vote? Here, could you read them all off? Experience.
I got you. Yeah, first line of his resume. Well, he is Mr. Nugget.
Yeah, hell yeah,
there it is.
Interview over. You're hired. Interview over.
You're that's the hired. Entire resume.
Yeah, that's the whole one.
He thought it was going to come one at a time.
That was it.
We could have had an NBA champion. We could have had, actually, my favorite, the season is young. It hasn't technically started, but my favorite moment was Vote asking him about the community event he held and him being like, dude, I was just getting rid of old clothes. It was a yard sale.
It was just a yard sale, you idiot. That's
which is somehow cooler, though. It's actually cooler that he was like, yeah, I invited everyone out for a yard sale.
I like the idea that he was like, I just can't wear these anymore. And everyone else was like, I'll pay you a lot of money.
Oh, God, dude.
Also,
oh, my God.
Also, like, how many 6'8", very well sculpted people are in Denver that were like, oh, these overalls fit me? Perfect. Just my size.
He's like, Vote, I don't think that'll fit you. It's a slim fit, as you just fit into one of the legs.
Oh man, AG is for the people, man. I'm so glad he's back. I'm so glad he's here. And like I said, man, it's not much. The season's just beginning, but drip by drip, the vibes are coming back. Nature is healing. Our Nuggets hearts are healing. Any final thoughts, Vote, before we get out of here?
Well, just to continue with that, there were a few practices since we've last done a show, and the word is that the energy has been really good. That guys are kind of excited. Malone and Murray both said that pretty earnestly. Pretty good presser with Murray, who I've had a long chat with Michael Malone after practice, but I just think things are maybe headed in the right direction. And you guys know, a couple of wins and all of a sudden that's the narrative. Oh man, they kept AG. This Russ thing's looking good. Murray looks great. It all changes quickly, and it's still in the Nuggets' control, I think, largely. So this is a great bit of business and a great bit of news for the Nuggets fans.
What about you, D-Line? Any final thoughts?
I mean, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Let's go, dude. I'm ready to start competing for that in-season tournament trophy. I want the cup. I want the cup. You ready for this? We want the cup. We're coming for you, Lakers.
Oh, yeah. The Emirates NBA Cup. All right. We had, Emma, we did have one super chat come in. What do we got here? 402 Nuggets. He says, go ahead, Vote.
AG extended, and I found out I'll be working at the bar soon. It's a
at the
wonderful
DNVR
day,
bar?
Fellas. Yeah, I think
so.
we
Wait,
put
is
out
this
for some help.
Is this a gentleman or a lady? Do we know? Because I knew there was a lady that was a fan of ours that worked over the weekend, and she was awesome. And if it was her, it was cool. But if it's not, if it's a gentleman, and I can't wait to meet you.
Well,
unless I met you, and then
this person wants to put their new job on the line and give us free Rakia shots on day one. Works for me. Let's do it.
It works for me too, man.
Oh my God. Yeah, we have a major announcement coming to the bar. It's
actually pretty major.
Can we announce it and just say it's not available yet?
I don't know if we can.
Okay.
I don't know.
We're gonna hold off. We gotta hold off.
Okay. Well, we'll hold off. We'll hold off on that. Stay tuned. And tomorrow we have an incredible piece of content going up.
We actually have two pieces of content dropping. We have a really cool video I hope you guys love on the timeline. So unique, like such a unique thing. And we also have our season preview that we've been working on behind the scenes, a written piece of content. So if you were thinking about becoming a diehard, sign up, because tomorrow is going to be a great day to be a diehard. It's like 10,000 words or something. I mean, I personally have written like 4,000 or 5,000 of it. I'm
writing right now. That's what there's a lot of good stuff on there.
It's really, really cool. There's video breakdowns and everything else in there. So if you're thinking about becoming a diehard, tomorrow is the day to do it. Everybody, presented by Indeed. We want to thank Indeed for this show. Emergency podcast brought to you by Indeed. Listeners of the show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your job more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. It's Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. You need Indeed. Thanks for hanging with us. We're back tomorrow with a full show. Can't wait for it.
And don't apply for the Nuggets power forward. That job is filled.
Take it. It is taken,
Get
baby.
Stamp it.
We all silly like the mayor.